Standard. Welcome back to another episode of Bareham Engines. Good news.
Yeah.
This could be finished by the time you go on Wednesday.
Could, yeah. Genuinely could.
One more day left, mate.
Yep.
Isn't it?
One day.
One more day left and then it's a week and a half.
Yeah.
On my own.
Sorry, mate.
Not happy, mate. Not happy.
It's all right. You got John.
Thank you. Yeah, so nearly done. Just been waiting for the
old high pressure diesel pump.
Was that been done?
Yeah, it looks like it. It's had all new seals put on. It went away and...
Bit of a service, is that?
Yeah, a bit of a service and a check over.
Ideal, mate. So, get that on there.
Yeah.
Pull the old timing pin, innit?
Yeah, pull the pin, let her go.
Pull the pin, let her go, and see what happens.
The only thing we're waiting for now is a left-hand threaded bolt for the front of that.
Okay.
Which I've ordered from Ford.
Nice.
So,
how'd you time that up then? Got a bit of a...
Well, I don't think you have to, too specifically anyway, because it's a common rail diesel,
okay.
so all the pressure is just held in the rail and then electronically fires the injectors.
Oh, I see. Hence why there's no key or anything, just taper fit.
I think there is rough timing, like I think this dot lines up with the chain.
I think that's probably just so you...
Yeah, just for sort of reference really.
So when you change your chain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think... I've just been looking at the auto data. I think you have got to roughly line it up on the pump.
I see.
But
nice.
But yeah, being common rail, it just sort of does it all electronically.
Ideal, mate. So we've had a bit of a sort out today. That'd be nice if that's gone. Then I can get CTS's transit up there, the old wet belt, mate. We can get involved in that, can't we? That one's got to go on a pallet. That's going tomorrow, so we'll stick that on a pallet.
Yes.
So we've had a little Uber round. Unfortunately, the engine stand belongs to the customer, so we have no stand for that. So I might have to do it on the bench for the minute.
Yeah.
You've been cracking on with the old Perkins, haven't you, today?
I have, yeah.
The first Perkins, the whatever it is.
4318.
4318.
Out of a massive 595.
Nice. Oh, hello. But we've had another engine coming today, mate.
We have. You're very happy about it?
It's another Cosworth, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is the one that I said last week will be coming in on Tuesday. Monday, turned up today.
Ideal.
Steve, thank you very much, Steve. Come over from London.
Somewhere, yeah.
Somewhere like that.
Came from somewhere.
Yeah.
And he went back to somewhere as well.
He did. But I've been quite excited about doing this one.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, he wants big power.
Okay.
And two, it's an all been done job.
Yeah.
All been done, mate.
Has it?
We'll see about that, won't we? So I've quickly got in amongst it and tore the top end of it apart, and just so we've got some news for the video at the moment. They're keen.
Persistent.
Aren't they? They're keen at 20 to 5. So, first thing I've done, mate, with this, take a few ancillaries off. As you can see, it's looking rather grubby.
It is, yeah.
So the history with this is apparently it was built, proper job, in 2008. For big spec.
Ago,
it's quite a rare one. It's a 200 blocked Escort Cosworth small turbo engine.
Oh, right.
But in a two-wheel drive, so it's got a two-wheel drive sump.
Yeah.
The advantages with these engines is two things, I would say, on the block. One, the head is obviously a later casting.
Yeah.
So better casting. The block comes with oil jets in from the factory.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they've got a different pump. And secondly, because it's got the Ford management, it tends to fuel a bit better.
Right.
So what that means is, as they've got a bit older, we tend to find that when we take these small turbo Cosy blocks engines apart, they don't suffer with any bore wear.
Oh, that's good.
So it just goes to show that the old fueling is quite a lot to do with the old school Cosys. You know, getting a big old lip up the top and that. So, yeah, this one's meant to have all been done in 2008. Apparently it's got arrow rods, trip pistons, which we can see it's got some sort of trip pistons in it.
Yeah.
And what else yet we don't know. So it's got a ported head. Don't know the size of the ports yet. I'm going to measure those. But even just taking the head off here, I can see that this thing has been done a couple of times before.
Right.
And I'll tell you as to why in a moment that I know that. So first thing I did with this, which I don't do all the time, is I checked the timing before I took it all apart.
Right.
The reason for that is I normally do that if the thing's been spec'd to a decent spec before, and then we're building it again just to see what it's been running like, and that may give you some answers as to what you find inside. So the customer did say that this thing has run, but it hasn't done many miles at all.
Right.
It was set up and what have you on what it's got. The cams were changed. So by the looks of it, they were changed to a BD14 exhaust, BD16 inlet. So I expect this thing's been running 500 plus at some point, or around that sort of power. It's got a Hart inlet manifold, which has been changed at a later date. That looks like it's been port matched to the head, but I'm yet to check that by taking the back off, putting the manifold on, lining it all up. So I've checked the timing, mate. He said it ran a bit lumpy on idle, a bit what,
bit weird
sort of thing. But then as you revved it up, it was all right. So the timing on this is at standard. So the timing figures for the exhaust cam, which is the 14, is 110 degrees, and I got it 104. So we're 6 degrees out on that. And the inlet, we're 2 degrees out. Should be 105 on a BD16. It's 103. So someone's faffed around with the timing, either that or haven't set it right. But that's quite a long way to be out.
So what do you think they've changed that on the vernier pulleys, or
they've changed that on the vernier pulleys, yeah. If you have a look at these pulleys, you can see it has been moved off centre. Yeah. And by the amount it's moved, that probably is about 6 degrees, I would say. So you might find that when it was bang in the middle, it was bang on. And another reason that it had probably been bang on is because there hasn't been any material took off this block face at any point in its life, so it's a fresh block.
Oh, right.
The bores are standard, so it hasn't been bored. I mean, if you're changing the pistons on an engine rebuild, it's best to bore it.
It is.
There's going to be some people out there that disagree with that and say, oh no, you only have to deglaze it. Only trouble is, although these don't really suffer with bore wear, they're not going to be true. No. And obviously it's had God knows how many years of running in the bore it's got. The surface, they get sort of work hardened. Yeah. And you end up, if you don't bore it, you can end up with it smoking or using oil or something like that. So if you stick new pistons in, generally it's a good idea to bore it.
Well, for the cost of a rebore compared to a set of pistons, it's almost worth spending that bit more money. And
this is the thing, isn't it? Especially if you're buying new pistons anyway, which they have, because these are not original. So the bores look very glazed.
Yeah, they do actually.
So, and it stinks of fuel, so I expect this thing's been running a bit rich, isn't it? Probably. Now the reason, going back to what I said earlier, the reason I know that this has had something done to it before the 2008 build, I would say, is because it's had wire rings put in it, and that's a pretty early thing to do. Yeah. Now the only reason it could have had the head gasket changed between now and 2008, but the customer said it hasn't, so that's why I'm saying it's probably had a couple of builds. So it's had these wire rings machined, the grooves machined into the block, and what they do is they put 1 mil thick wire. So these grooves are usually about 25 thou thick, deep. They push the 1 mil wire in there, and then what that does, the idea of that, when they use the composite gaskets with the fire ring in the middle, the idea is that wire bites into the and gives you a better seal. Bit of seal, really. But
gaskets have come on since then, haven't they?
They have. It's had a Cooper's ring gasket in, so these are the multi-layer steel gaskets. So basically, someone's just peeled that wire out of there. Haven't machined the block face, so when we build them, we'll machine that out, and then obviously mod the piston crown to suit. Yeah. And they've used these, so these are designed to fit on 2 flat faces, and the idea is that the gasket will squeeze up, and these do the same thing as that. Really, a lot of pressure goes into these rings and creates a better seal. But at the moment, these rings are just being, looks like they're just being pushed into that groove. So in effect, they ain't, I wouldn't say they're doing a great deal.
No.
If you look at the block face, you can see where it's all black around. See around like this bit here? So that has been blowing a gasket. Whether that's been blowing with the old wire inserts in or now, I don't know. But it has been blowing at some point. So whoever's built this, really, the first thing you do is face the block, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very easy thing to do. Inexpensive.
Yeah.
You might as well do it.
I would say, if it hasn't been already, although it hasn't done many miles at all, I would say in the very near future of this running like this, it's going to blow a gasket. Good and proper.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already, because it's very black around here.
Yeah, it
especially
looks like
round,
some sort of gases have been escaping.
Yeah, around this bit. Another thing we noticed was on the cylinder head, where they fitted that manifold, they haven't used the original nuts and bolts. These threads here, this one especially, pulled the thread. They weren't very tight, and there was about 3 or 4 threads in there. Someone has hacksawed the end of the bloody bolts off on these 3. And you can see there, look, and you can see on the gasket on the manifold where it's blowing. So it's drawing in air through there.
Unmetered air.
Unmetered air, mate. So I would say that ain't been good. There's no way that's going to be running right.
No.
It's going to be running worse on the, especially this one here. That's definitely been not sealing correctly. So far, apart from that, it's been built perfect.
It's pretty much how they always come in.
It
whether
is
they've
really
all been done or not.
It is. It's very, very rarely. You know, I don't know who's built it. I'm not. You know, I wouldn't say if I did, but very rarely are they done properly. Are they? Something about these blooming Cosworths.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the map once they've been built or if it's. I don't know.
I mean, half of it you don't know how it's. You don't know how they've been running, like you say, and you don't know what they've been doing with it. But
well, you don't know how they've run the thing in, but you don't know what map it's had. You don't know how it's been driven, just like in general.
This is it, yeah. So what we're going to find on the bottom end, I don't know. We'll obviously check the clearances and see what it's been running. Oh, another thing is the cam belt was so tight, it was like a bloody guitar string, wasn't it? And you could hear it when you turn the engine over slowly. You could hear it going ding, 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 ding. Too tight. So that is going to put a lot of stress on the these camshaft bearings at the front here.
Wow. It's not.
And
not
everything else.
Anyway, is it?
No. So it was very unnecessarily tight. That. What else is there? Oh, the studs. Now I told him. He said it had 6 long studs in, which it has. And I said, well, I almost guarantee if it was built then, it's going to be these old school studs. So these are the ones with the built-in machined 17mm oil seal collar.
Right.
And they're never machined enough, that deep enough, especially on these 2. Said this God knows how many times before in videos. They come at a standard depth, and you find they're probably not too bad on these, depending on how many threads they've got in there. But these 2... with the core plugs, I've removed the core plugs, and you can see down there, look, there's a lug in the base of the block that they go into, and you can see this one here is there's probably about 4 or 5 threads that could go in there.
Yeah.
So what we tend to do with this side...
So they're sort of bottoming out in that seal before they're...
Yeah, if you have a look at the bottom of that stud, look, you can see that's the amount of threads that are in there.
Yeah.
It's just not enough. So we go another 5mm deeper, use the Julian Godfrey ARP studs with the blue O-ring we use, and we can go whatever depth we want with them.
Yeah, so those O-rings can be set anywhere, basically.
That's right, yeah, and the studs are slightly longer. And what tends to happen with these, if you don't run them long enough over time, especially with big power, it can break that lug out the base of the block, and then you've had it.
Yeah, then you bug it, don't you?
The only way to rescue it then is by putting a thread back in the top of the block, which no good really. No good for 600 odd horsepower, is it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thankfully, I've had a look at the moment. Once we've blasted it and cleaned it all up, I shall have a good look, make sure it's not cracked, those lugs. Should be okay. But yeah, it's ideal that it's on standard, gives us enough meat there to bore.
Yep.
I've checked the jut out of these pistons, about 15 thou, which is good.
Yep.
But these haven't been machined anyway, so we should be getting those out, seeing what these pistons are like. If they're near enough brand new, we'll, maybe get away with a set of rings and some liners, because he's toying about putting some ductile iron liners in.
Never a bad idea.
He's going to be, it's quite an expensive job, but then he's going to have a bulletproof block. And if these are good, set of rings, he's going to save a few £100 on the pistons, isn't he? So,
yeah.
As I say, I wouldn't if they were distinctly second hand, but because it's hardly done, it's done a couple of 100 miles, so.
Don't look amazing for a couple 100 miles.
Looks awful, doesn't it? Whoever's done it, I would say they haven't done a recon on this. What they've done is just haven't cleaned it at all externally. They've literally just took it to bits, put new bits in it, and hardly any machining.
Yeah.
That's
probably.
pretty much what it looks like to me. So it's just it's a rebuild as opposed to a recon.
Stuck the rods and pistons in and some bearings and.
Basically.
That's about it, isn't it?
We'll see whether they've even had the crank out yet. We don't know, but it's not going to have been balanced or anything like that. So That's where we are at the moment. I'm sure Steve will be pleased to hear that we've got onto that so fast. I think John's there with it. Wave the camera in his face. I'm sure he'll disappear.
It's got the bottom end together.
Nice. So they were fully finished, them liners then, were they?
Yeah, fully finished.
Didn't have to do any machining?
No, just step the block.
Nice.
Which we did on the grinder.
Piston jut out all right?
Haven't actually measured that yet, but it looks near enough what it should be.
It's a nice simple motor, isn't it? Just a big
pretty
whopper.
They pretty much flush those pistons,
Yeah.
so I'll measure that and check it's within
I seen it when you was putting the crank in. It was span over nicely, didn't it?
Yeah, really nicely. I plaster gauged it. Got about 2.9 inch journal. Got about like 2.5 thou clearance.
Nice.
So it's about right.
Yeah.
I was a little bit suspect because we ground it, but it turned really, really nicely. So I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it was all good. So.
Amazing, isn't it? You would have thought there'd be more resistance with something bigger, but it's not. Don't work like that, does it?
No.
I suppose it's more. It's sitting on a bigger sort of thing, a bed of oil.
Yeah. I think John's going to carry on with that while I'm away. And,
Lovely. What's this that I'm leaning on?
Looks like the V6 I did about 3 months ago.
It is. Still here.
The old Range Rover or whatever it is.
So the customer has not paid me any money yet. Keeps threatening to pick it up and just getting the funds together, as he says. And he's promised to get it picked up by the end of this month. Well, not promised. He said he's going to do his best to get it picked up by the end of this month.
That's today.
That's today, then.
That is today.
So he's got about 5 minutes. But I did say, bear in mind, I said in a few videos ago about me charging storage on this.
Yeah.
For the first 2 weeks, I charged £10. Well, for the first month, he got away with it for nothing. And then I started charging him for 2 weeks, £10 a day. And then from there, it's gone up to £20 a day.
Wow.
So as of tomorrow, he owes about £800 plus VAT for storage. And I did say to him a couple of weeks ago, if he does get it paid by the end of the month, I'll half that. Can't say fairer than that. No. It's in the way, it's taking up an engine stand.
Yeah, it is. Even if it was on a pallet, it would be in the way.
Yeah. And it probably owes me about £4,500 in bits, which I've paid. So there we go. It's all adding up, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a nuisance. I should have had money off him.
The good news is, at least should be a fair amount of people looking for one of those if he decides he doesn't want to pay for it.
Is that a 3 litre? 2.7?
Yeah, 3 litre.
3 litre. So if you need one of these on an exchange, it's one all done here. But yeah, a bit of a bummer that. So you're off to your last day tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, last day tomorrow.
So you're not going to see anyone for a couple of weeks now, mate. It's going to be me on my own.
Oh,
so get your seasickness tablets ready because I ain't tackling this thing.
I think this gimbal's playing up at the minute.
Oh really?
It looks a bit. I've been watching it. It looks a bit shaky.
Oh great. Well, I certainly won't be using it then. But yeah, I apologise in advance. I'll try and be as still as I can.
Maybe set it up on the bench or something.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, we'll have Isaac back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, sorry guys.
See what I can do.
Gone for a bit.
See what I can do.
You'll be alright. There you go.
Oh,
it's giving it the old.
Better end it there. It's going to give it the big fandango in a minute. Oh,
it's going off.
See you Wednesday, guys. Oh my God.